Thank you everyone for joining us today. We're just going to wait a few more moments before we get started here. All right, hello everyone. On behalf of the Environmental Finance Center Network, welcome to our webinar today on resources and tips for successful communication with your community. My name is Maya Bani from the Syracuse University Environmental Finance Center. Before we begin, we're going to go over a few housekeeping items and then we can get started. During the training today, everyone will be kept on mute to ensure audio quality. If you have a question, please type it into the GoToWebinar question dialog box anytime throughout the session. We will be saving your questions for a facilitated Q&A session at the end of the presentation. After the webinar, you'll receive a follow-up email that includes a link to the recording and other information you may need. You can also download the slides from today in the Handouts tab in your GoToWebinar control panel. This session has not been submitted for pre-approval of continuing education credits, but eligible attendees will receive a certificate of attendance for their personal record. To receive a certificate for this session, you must attend for the entire session and register and attend individually using your real name and unique email address. Certificates will be sent via email within 30 days of the webinar date. If you have any questions or need assistance, please contact smallsystems@syr.edu. Now for a little bit about us. The Environmental Finance Center Network provides training and technical assistance to small water and wastewater systems in all U.S. states and territories through our building technical, managerial, and finance capacity programs. If your community or utility needs assistance with drinking water or wastewater system management, please feel free to contact us through our request form, which I'll be sharing shortly in the chat. On that note, we can get started, and I would like to turn your attention to our presenter for today, Bailey Vieira, a program manager at Wichita State University Environmental Finance Center.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for that introduction. I'm so excited to be talking about how to connect with your community today. I am Bailey Vieira. I'm a program manager at the Environmental Finance Center. I am located in Region 7. So just a little bit more about the Environmental Finance Centers. There are 10 of us across the 10 regions. I'm located in Region 7. We provide training and technical assistance to Iowa, Nebraska, Kansas, and Missouri, but have the unique opportunity as part of the larger network to be able to provide these trainings nationwide. So excited to be here today. And just one small housekeeping item before I get any further. If you have questions, please feel free um, to shout those out, or rather provide those in the question, and we'll address those as as you guys have those throughout the presentation. So our vision at the Wichita State University Environmental Finance Center is um, to uh, to empower communities within our region and across the country to enhance their environmental and financial health for the benefit of everyone. And we really strive to do that by building capacity to address current and future environmental challenges. And we know that one of the challenges that faces a lot of utilities nationwide is that communication to their customers. For a variety of reasons, it's difficult to connect, to always be connecting with your customers. There's this idea, rather, that no news regarding your utility is good news, because if you were in the news, you probably had an issue or something went awry, and there's some type of service announcement. And we really want to help utilities break out of that mold and have constant communication with their customers, and we'll dive into that more. But um, we strive to meet our mission through several core functions. We provide service through leadership, facilitation, technical assistance. We educate on best practices, provide professional development and support. We analyze and interpret data and regulations, and create and develop tools and resources to help our communities. Through it all, we connect with people through ideas, and we try to connect with communities through meetings, educational outreach, training, and just saying hello. So we feel like we're good at that connection piece, and I hope that you have some great takeaways today. So today we're gonna first discuss the benefits of connecting with your community, and then we'll talk about the different ways and tools you can utilize to connect. And then finally, we'll share some resources that you can easily access to make connecting with your community easier. So, what do we mean by connecting with your community? Connecting with your community can mean efficient and appropriate communication, including content, methods, and frequency. Connecting with your community reminds everyone that we're all humans with needs and responsibilities. And finally, connecting with your community can instill a sense of community pride, which can have exponential benefits, not just within or across the utility, but many other services and silos throughout the community. So communication is important for community members. They don't have many options for utility service, so keeping the communication lines open is important to build trust and rapport. Communication with your community can include updates about what's happening with your utility, short and long-term goals and projects, emergency incidents, both maybe some that have happened or some that your utility is preparing for. You know, hey, it's storm season, and here's what we're doing at our utility to make sure that we can continue your service should there be, you know, flooding or a tornado. Or I'm in Kansas, so those are our disaster challenges that we face sometimes. You can also share general information about your utility, such as how much water is pumped and where the water comes from, and fun stuff too, such as a day in the life of an operator, or how your waste is safe for the river, or other fun facts that can engage your community and really make them go, huh, I didn't know that, but that's pretty cool. So like we said, connecting with your community can put faces on the conversation. Utility staff and operators can be seen more as resources rather than regulators, or more as essential workers rather than robots or like nameless cogs. A lot of times people don't think about water treatment and understand the human element. They think it's this system that's happening, um, you know, on how it's made, and they don't necessarily really give the utility credit for the utility staff and the certifications that they have that enable them to be able to do what they do. So it's important to help humanize your staff so that if there is an issue, if there's a disruption of service, an issue, maybe even community-wide, people are more compelled to understand um, that those things can happen. Understanding that community members face challenges as well, and that their complaints and concerns are valid from an from an operator perspective is also really important, because when people are connected, they're more likely to see each other as teammates in the betterment of the community. So and finally, community pride. So once the community understands the importance of the utility and its staff, those humans that are doing the work, a foundation is laid for the community to support the measures needed to improve or enhance the utility's operations, or just to bring it up to the level at which they are required to operate. So upon that foundation, the utility can continue to build support that will contribute to the success of the utility, including level of service, goals, and enhanced capital improvement plans. Additionally, when the community understands the importance of the utility's operations, they may be encouraged to pay their bills on time and in full, and support measures to increase funding. So fostering a sense of that community pride can encourage community members to participate in opportunities to contribute or provide feedback. Community members may be likely to attend board meetings and city council meetings to advocate for funding to improve the utility, or approve of improvements and future planning that are ongoing at the utility that are being shared with community members. So really that, that connection is important. It's important for a variety of reasons, and we'll just summarize those really quick. So an informed community and connecting with your community is a direct result of your communication with the community, and keeping people informed and educated about the happenings in the utility from daily operations to emergencies contributes to community members understanding the importance of the utility, its role in the community, and why adequate funding is so imperative. So you're informing the community, but you're also educating them with the same messages. And then you're transitioning value into support, right? So when the community members understand the importance of the utility and the people who work within it, the way and degree to which they value their water and wastewater systems improves. Often that value can lead to support or turns into support. And with the support, new rate structures can be implemented, conservation strategies are more likely to be observed, and the utility can receive more constructive feedback on the future planning for the utility. And then again, connecting with your community fosters a sense of community and unity among neighbors. Value, empathy, and connectedness really provides a foundation for understanding and supporting and support for the intrinsic work of the utility. The utility itself is a community connector, right? Um, like physically, because these systems, these pipes and structures do connect us all, but it's also a shared resource that connects us all. So it's important. And you know it's important, right? That's why you're here. You know how important it is to connect with your community members. So how do we do it? And I'm going to start by taking a poll and asking the question, how do you currently connect with your community? Do you connect with CCRs? Is that the single and only point of contact that you have with your customer each year? Or do you have perhaps you have a newsletter? Maybe you do bill stuffers. Maybe you have a website. Maybe you're really engaged on social media, or you'd like to be, but what are you doing right now to connect with your community? Maya's gonna put up a poll, so if you could respond, that would be great.
I'm going to leave the poll up just for a few more seconds, so please get your answers in. All right, I'm going to close the poll now. All right, for how do you connect with your community, 74% said through websites, 55% said through CCRs, 40% said through newsletters, and then 38% bill stuffers, and 38% social media.
Okay. So the next question that I have, that we have a poll for, is what prevents you from connecting with your community? Is it capacity, either time and or staff? Is it skills, just having a lack of knowledge of how to use various mediums? Skills such as like different software, Canva, Microsoft, Adobe. Is it knowledge of these different platforms, not really having knowledge of what's out there? Is it just a general desire, lack of desire rather? Writer's block, developing content, or just not really having a passion for it? And then content creation, is it not knowing kind of what type of advertising schedule you should have, what types of information you should be putting out there, how to transpose the technical message that you want to share into something that's digestible to your customers? Of these, what would you say prevents you from connecting or communicating with your community?
All right, I'm going to be closing the poll in 3, 2, 1. And for the question of what prevents you from connecting with your community, 75% said capacity, 46% said content creation, 23% said skills, another 23% said knowledge, and 12% said desire.
Okay, so this is really the best possible outcome to the poll because we can help help you utilize resources to streamline communicating um, within the capacity, both time and staff that you have. And we'll get into that in just a second. But this little guy is overcoming challenges, and you can too. It may not be as difficult as you think. There are a variety of resources available that can help with efficient communication. Efficient and effective communication is critical. The first step to effective communication is knowing your audience and how they interact and respond to different forms of communication. For example, if your customer base is generally a more older population, they still tend to prefer printed communication, such as bill stuffers and newsletters. And younger generations might respond more to social media or text communication. So knowing your community can help you plan your outreach accordingly and really put the time that you do have and the dollars that you do have towards communicating in the most effective buckets. Other tools that can lead to effective and efficient communication are planning tools, emergency and standard communication processes and procedures, and various templates can assist with outreach and education when you are short on time and capacity as well. So you can have a standard press release, right, that's ready to go. It's a template. It's got all of the parts and pieces laid out for you. You just have to fill in the date, the point of contact. Maybe the title and the body have tidbits of like quick tips for you to reference. Like the first sentence of the body should be catchy. Don't bury the lead. And you can start to pull these templates together, and the EFCN can help you with that. But pull these templates together so that communicating with your customers can be quick and easy. So diving into these just a little bit deeper, social media planners are out there. So instead of spending, hours and hours working on a social media post, you can batch content and plan your social media with a variety of tools. And we'll get into that a little bit more. There are web page templates available. I know a good portion of the group already has a website, and it sounds like those are or I would assume that those are probably pretty baked. They might be built into your organization and managed by someone outside of the utility staff, but there are numerous web page templates available if you don't have a website yet that can help you build a website basically from a Word document. And we'll talk about that. And then flyer templates and communication, like standard operating procedures. So putting together SOPs for communication can also help streamline. Like in this instance, this is what we do, etc. So diving in to online tools. There are online tools that can schedule your social media posts for you. You have to create the content, but you can tag, add links, photos, and schedule when they're posted. So you don't have to be monitoring your social media on a day-to-day basis. You could pick a 2-hour block on one day of the week, and or maybe you pick a 4-hour block on one day of the month, and you batch your content. Look out for look at November, right? We're nearing the end of October, so pick a 4-hour block and look at November. Are there any water type national holidays? Are there any anniversaries for your staff? You have an operator who's celebrating 20 years. Maybe if you see those things upcoming, you you snap a photo of him on your cell phone, you upload it, you put together a post, congratulations for 20 years. This is the type of work that so-and-so does. And you can map out a month's worth of content and schedule it using one of several social media planners that are available. Many of these also have free services, and they provide essential planning capabilities and give you the option of upgrading to a paid plan to allow more users. But they all offer a free base service. So all three of these have similar features. I'm going to dive into each of these just to give you guys some background if you are interested in trying out one of these social media planners. All three of these planners have similar features, but Buffer provides more options in their free plan. So for example, Later and Hootsuite only allow you to schedule up to 5 or 8 posts ahead of time. Buffer allows for many more. I think it's unlimited. We currently use Buffer to schedule posts for multiple different accounts. So the Environmental Finance Center at Wichita State University has a page, but then has social media accounts, but then there are some sub-accounts that we all participate in, and so we're able to schedule for up to for multiple accounts as well. That might not be something that's super attractive because you're just posting on behalf of your utility, but maybe you have someone that has some capacity to do your water treatment facility and the wastewater treatment plant, and you can capitalize on sharing a service or something like that. Anyway, all of these only allow for one user, but there are ways to share that one account if needed, like via password sharing, etc. So what these social media planners do, again, just to kind of summarize, is you can plan and you can create content in these and plan your posts. So and then these services will auto post to your account, your social media accounts. So if that's Twitter, if that's Instagram, if that's Facebook, you can plan your content in these platforms and not have kind of set it and forget it type of a deal. So that's really convenient because again, you can batch your content creation, upload those posts that you've developed into one of these platforms, and then not touch it again until you're batching and creating content. Now, if you want to respond to comments and on your posts, maybe customers are reaching out on your posts and engaging, you would want to do that in the platform where they're chatting with you. So if it's on Facebook, you would need to go out to Facebook and check comments and answer comments in real time. But you can also turn comments off on your posts if you don't want folks to be able to comment. I would advise against that, because what you're really trying to create, right, is that community connection and the two-way communication. But if you really don't have the capacity, but you want to be pushing out information, that's one way that you can decrease the amount of time required to manage your social media. And then I would say just encourage you to get creative, when you're creating those posts, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. So web page templates can assist with easily updating your website. You likely have a IT department or website developer for your website. You might see if they have templates or guidance available for how to update the website easily. That way you can be featuring topical information on your website at all times, and it doesn't get really stale and stagnant, right? If you have extra time, which I know none of us do, but Microsoft Sway will turn a Word document into a web page. It's a great tool, but it does take some time to learn and adjust. If you have access to Microsoft SharePoint within your organization, you can use it as a content creation tool for internal communication. And I won't dive too deeply into that since we're talking about community. But if you are starting from scratch and you don't have a web page, Microsoft Sway is intuitive enough, if you're familiar with the other Microsoft products, that you could develop a web page pretty quickly. And then the last two here, both Sway and SharePoint, they do take some time and investment to learn, but they can be really effective tools in the long run. Okay, so flyer templates. Think bill stuffers, web pages, or announcements. You can't really go wrong with a good flyer. So here's some resources. Microsoft Word is an excellent tool for creating communication documents. You can really zhuzh up a Microsoft Word document. You can fancy up with photos, with formatting, with catchy font, clear but catchy font. You can also do that with a little bit more flexibility within PowerPoint. You can even use Excel to put together, because there's such a wide variety of tools within Excel to create bar charts or line graphs, drop in photos, drop in text boxes, and all sorts of things. Canva is a graphic design program, but it can really do so much more. And it's also a free, they also have a free service. So Canva is a web-based platform where you can create really visually stimulating flyers, but they don't just stop there. You can put together infographics that you could turn into a postcard and mail out to your audience. You could put together reports, like an annual report, if you wanted to have that available for customers to pick up at their, where they pay their bill, or maybe it's available for download from the website. There's all sorts of things that you can create in Canva, not just flyers. And they have all kinds of templates that are already built out for you that are beautiful, very professional looking. They're created by graphic designers all over the place that are just very well versed in what is visually appealing. And a lot of what they offer is free. So I would highly encourage you to go to canva.com, and maybe poke around and see if it's something that you think is worth investing in the pro account. They have lots of features included in their base package. Their pro package includes like a variety of clip art and photos, and additional templates that are they're just really great. So highly recommend checking that out. There was one other thing I was going to tell you about Canva. Oh, from the platform, you can download what you've created in a JPEG format or a PDF for print. Lots of options there. And you can also use Canva to create your Facebook posts or your Instagram posts. So you can, utilize this free Canva service to create your posts, download them as JPEGs, and then upload them to Buffer, where you are gonna auto schedule your posts out for a month. So really, there are lots of resources that can really streamline those communication processes. And then the last one is Adobe Spark. It's a free graphic design program that can help you develop graphics pretty easily to share on social media. It has a little bit steeper learning curve than Canva. Canva is very user friendly. Adobe Spark requires just a touch of that like graphic designer um, creative mind, which not not all of us are blessed with. But if you have, again, the time to learn, or you've got a staff member that has some capacity to learn, that's going to be dedicated to doing this type of work, then Adobe Spark is a great tool as well.
Bailey, I
So,
do have a question for you here.
oh, sure. Yes, awesome.
It is, what is your opinion on Microsoft Publisher?
Microsoft Publisher is a great tool if that's what you have. If you have access to Microsoft Publisher within your organization, it's included in the Microsoft package that your organization is paid for, and you don't have the budget to purchase like the pro account with Canva, Microsoft Publisher can be great. I think that it is a little bit more tedious to develop flyers or materials in general in Microsoft Publisher because it's not as free form as some of these others like Canva and Adobe Spark. If you're using Microsoft Publisher, you probably are familiar with there being limitations to the types of like borders that you can drop in or text boxes that you can drop in. And they tend to look a little bit outdated. So if that's what you're working with, you can print a flyer to PDF and create reports in there. There is a little bit of a learning curve with Publisher. I would say jump out to Canva. If you've worked in Publisher, jump out to Canva and poke around. Like create a free account, go to create a flyer or look at their flyer templates and just play around, because I think you'll find that it is so much easier to achieve the look that you want in Canva than it is, and it will be a lot quicker to create something in Canva than it is to create it in Publisher. But Publisher is still a great tool if that's what you have to work with. I hope that answers your question. Are there any other questions before we jump to communication plans? Okay.
I do not see any questions at this point, no.
Okay, so understanding how to communicate both internally and with the community is a valuable tool within itself. Having communication plans and strategies outlined can lead to efficient communication in a short amount of time. So there are many communication services out there, several programs with various price points that can help cities communicate with the community. Many of these services have a cost associated with them, so it's a good conversation to have with your city leaders. The cost could be spread across multiple city departments though. So for example, Civic Plus is a amazing, robust text notification tool that can be used for internal notifications as well as external notifications. So departments could use this tool to schedule alerts, but also like internally. For example, let's say you have snow and ice responders that are on call during a potential winter event. You could push out um, a text alert or an automated phone call with an automated voice recording to your snow and ice responders to come in, right? Or same with your utility. If you have on-call staff at your utility, you could schedule a notification to go out to those on-call folks. Hey, we are going to need you. Go ahead and plan on coming in, report at such and such time. But then you can use this same platform to communicate externally and let maybe you need to let 3 zip codes know about a broken water pipe that's flooding the street but not disrupting service. You can do that through many of these platforms. Nextdoor is a great one that has a free option um, and is great for back and forth communication with your customers as well. So you implement communication plans and procedures. You have templates, you're posting on social media, and you've got text alerts going out when there's an issue. Is your communication plan working? How do you know? There are a few ways that you can quantify success. For example, are the number of complaints that you receive being reduced? If your public is more informed, um, that should be positively impacting the number of complaints that you hear. For example, if you have a um, disruption to service and your call center or your customer service representatives are just getting blasted with phone calls, you put out a text alert or you post on Nextdoor or on Facebook, hey, we're seeing a disruption of service at such and such, or there was a pipe burst at such and such street at the intersection of, Main and Second. That should curtail your phone calls to customer service. Apply that more broadly, right? If you're constantly communicating with your customers, you should see reduced complaints overall because they're, again, receiving information, getting educated, seeing the value in what you're doing, and that's all transitioning or turning into support for the utility. So maybe you have a discrepancy with your bill. Maybe it's a little bit higher than it was last month. Maybe you wait a month before you call and you say, well, maybe I saw on Facebook that they were doing upgrades. So maybe I'll wait a month and see what my bill looks like next month before I make a phone call. Likewise, people should be paying their bills on time more frequently, resulting in a lower delinquency rate. Customers that are engaged with their utility, who find value in their utility, are more likely to pay for the service, right? So think about your own bills. If you really value being able to watch football 3 days of the week, that subscription or TV service might be the first bill that you pay because you want to make sure that you can watch football. Same with your water. When you start to understand the value of your water and the utility work, the work that's going on at the utility, the hard work that the staff are doing, you should see on-time payments improve. And we've seen this with really good, not even like really, really good, but just like consistent communication, right? It doesn't have to be the most eye-catching or branded communication with your customers, but consistent communication with your customers will increase on-time payments. And then increased participation. People participating and engaging with the city and the utility will increase. Maybe they're coming to more board meetings or council meetings. Maybe they're interacting with your posts on social media. Maybe they're visiting your website more, but you should see increased participation with the communication. Maybe not right away, right? But I would encourage all of you guys to check out Denver Water's Twitter. It is really popular. It's witty, and even even marketing professionals and communicators that are outside of the utility world and outside of public service look at the Denver Water Twitter and go, okay, they're really figuring it out. They're engaging with their customer base in a really creative way, and they've got that increased participation. So an approach to determining if your communication efforts are effective is to identify the challenge, then determine a communication approach. So again, identifying the challenge might give you some information about your audience, like how you should communicate, where you should communicate, etc. So identifying the challenge, determining a communication approach, and then what the goal is, depending upon what that challenge is, what's the goal? Then use available metrics to evaluate results. So if you want to know if your social media posts are reaching people, planners have analytics, and those planners that we went over have analytics and insights that can provide that information. And then you can adjust your communication plan as needed to make it more effective. Does anybody have any questions on that before we move on?
I do not have any questions here at the moment.
Okay, so in short, connecting with your community is important. We've established that. There are resources available, and there are ways to evaluate and adjust your plans to best suit your utility. And I would just leave it open for questions for a couple minutes. Questions, or consider like what would be helpful. Please feel free to tell us what would be helpful. What kind of tools or resources can we create for you to best help you tackle this communication challenge or in connecting with your community? And then please keep in mind that we do have technical assistance available from the EFCN, various topics, super customizable, but specific to this, if you would like us to come in and help develop, analyze what communications you're doing right now and help you develop something more robust. If you need, if you want your staff trained on how to use Buffer or how to create a document in Canva. I mean, there's a whole wide variety of um, like technical assistance that we can provide to help you be successful at connecting with your community. So please, please, please feel free to contact us. And thank you so much for joining us today.
I do have a couple questions that just popped up here in the chat.
Awesome.
One question is, how would you recommend agencies shift from formal connection to a more informal connection? They like your example of the Denver Waters Twitter.
Yes. So a lot of that transition has to have the support of city leaders. So I would start with maybe developing a communication plan. Maybe it's 30-day communication plan or 90-day communication plan. It could look like an Excel spreadsheet, right, with the days of the month and what you plan to post as far as like the text and the bulk of the content, and then also include what type of graphic or like eye-catching like video, reel, something like that you want to include with it. It could be the actual photo itself, or it could be a description of what the video would include. And I would start with getting the support of your city leaders or your director, just to ensure that the tone and voice is what you want to convey to your customers. But being a little more informal is definitely going to increase participation, right? It makes you a little bit more approachable. It makes it makes the information a little bit more digestible. If you're sharing super technical information with your customers, it can be really hard for your customers to understand exactly exactly what you're saying. I mean, to be frank, but if you can kind of water it down a little bit, pun intended, and help your customers relate and really absorb what the message that you're trying to share, that's gonna go farther. So a little bit, and like the venue is important too, right? You still want to be super professional when you're sending out your CCRs, or maybe your annual report is just very polished. But when you're communicating on your social media platforms, maybe it's more conversational. So have that conversation with your leaders. I would definitely recommend planning out some posts to try to give them an idea of what you want the tone and voice to look and feel like, and then go from there.
And then there is a question, did you record this presentation? You all will be receiving a follow-up email with the slides from today and a link to the recording, and then you can also find the recording on our YouTube channel in a few days after the completion of the webinar. And then there's another question. What states do you cover for technical assistance?
So we cover all 50 states and a couple territories, right? right. So you may not receive, like, there's a lot of us all across the United States. So, but we can do technical assistance outside of our region. So there should be, like, me personally, we can help anywhere, but there might be someone in your region that's better suited to help, that has more experience or something. So I would I believe in the chat there's, if you're interested in technical assistance, there's a website, efcnnetwork.org/get-help. I'd start there.
All right, there are no further questions at the moment, but feel free to send those in if you have any. In the meantime, I want to thank you, Bailey, for sharing your expertise with us today. As I mentioned, you will be getting a follow-up email with the slides and link to the recording. We also ask that you complete the webinar evaluation following the webinar, so you can let us know your thoughts on today's session, as this helps us plan for future webinars on topics important to you. Thank you again for attending, and we hope to see you at future EFCN events.